In today's video, looking back to move forward as an instructional coach, how you can use the reflective time at the end of the academic year to be strategic and intentional in your planning for next year. A collaborative Coach Better Quick Tips episode with me and Diana together. Hi coaches! Welcome back to another episode of Coach Better Quick Tips. My name is Kim Cafino and I'm here to help you coach better. After decades as a teacher and coach in international schools, I founded my company, Eduro Learning, to help you recognize and leverage your influential leadership as a coach so you can build a thriving coaching culture in your school community. I work with clients around the world through our certificate programs and private mentoring packages. And to dig deeper into any of the topics you see here, head over to our website at coachbetter.tv. If you have a question you'd like to hear us answer, please leave a comment below, join our Coach Better Facebook group, or find us on social media at Eduro Learning and send me a DM. You can find all of our resources for instructional coaches and listen to our full podcast episodes on our website at coachbetter.tv. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel here to catch all of our latest episodes here on YouTube. I am super excited to share this collab with Diana for our first joint Quick Tips episode. It was so fun to have this conversation together and to get to share it with you. Plus, we also have some awesome samples from our participants in the Coach Certificate and Mentorship Program, so you can see actual examples of what we're talking about. All right, let's jump in. In today's video, Diana and I are going to talk about how coaches can be intentional in their planning for the next academic year, using this time at the end of the school year to look back so we can move forward in the new year. I'm super excited to be chatting about this with Diana because a couple of weeks ago, we had a call about the coach participants, and this conversation came up as a really interesting dialogue that was happening on our global cohort calls. In the coach, we go through 3 phases: clarity, consistency, and community. And by the end of the program, we are noticing that coaches are really thinking about their work, how their work as an individual can impact the whole organization. And this episode will help you think about how to make that shift if that's where you're at in your thinking, in your coaching journey. Here on the podcast, we often talk about the informal leadership aspects of a coaching role. And one of the key elements of that is that coaches are so interconnected within the entire school community. As a coach, you're working with so many stakeholders and you have insight into so many different conversations. And you have the potential to be a leader in growing a coaching culture in your school. But sometimes it takes a while to recognize the part that you can play in creating that community. And that's exactly what we're seeing in the Coach Certificate and Mentorship Program conversation. So Diana, tell us a little bit about what you've been hearing so that we can kind of frame all of this within the context of coaching as leadership.
So we've been wrapping up our 6th global cohort. And for over the last year or so, they have been moving through the different phases of the coach program. And particularly phase 3, which we just finished, Grow Community, they were recognizing how intentional and proactive coaches can be in their work to have this wider impact on the whole school community. We have participants who are part of a larger organization or school district. We have participants who are in just one independent school. But in any case, they're seeing this impact from working with individuals and teams. And then over the course of the time, there's been this shift in their mindset. And they're seeing the bigger picture. They're seeing their role in the bigger picture. They're seeing where they can impact the school community. They're getting more confidence in sharing their ideas with other teachers, other administrators in making this impact in their school community and shaping that culture of coaching or culture of learning that's happening there.
And it's really great that we have been having these conversations with them because it's helping us think about how you can be really intentional in your work at the end of the academic year to set yourself up and be prepared for success at the beginning of the next school year.
Yes. And of course, we all know that particularly the end of the school year, time flies. It gets very busy. Wrapping up the school year, there may be some conversations about what's going to happen next year. And we just want to kind of finish up, but we really need to take the time to think about other plans, whether it's our own plans as a coach or are we participating, or do we have influence on the plans that are being made for the following school year that are happening? There's many ways it can be proactive and intentional in that planning, and this is part of that informal leadership aspect of a coach's role. And we don't tend to think that if don't have a leader or we're not an administrator that we don't have that influence, but we do. We have that opportunity to show leadership in our intention and in our ideas and the way that we're seeing what's happening in the school.
And it's really interesting because obviously at the end of the year, you're kind of looking back over what happened over the course of the year and recognizing ways that you could potentially improve what you do in the next school year. So this is the perfect time as you're wrapping up the school year, you're getting ready to take a break. You want to come back to school feeling refreshed and ready and not stressed out about all the things you have to do. Today's episode, we're going to talk about how you can set yourself up for success in the next academic year, while everything that happened this academic year is still really fresh in your mind.
And as you and I have been talking about this topic and what we've been seeing in the coach participants and our own experiences and coaching in that, we've come up with 5 questions you can ask yourself and what you might want to think about as you're reflecting and planning for the future.
Yeah. So our first question is, what information or data do you have to measure or reflect on the work you've been doing? How will you know you're making an impact? And how are you gathering feedback to determine the impact that you're making? This is something I know we are planning to talk about in another Coach Better Quick Tips video. It's something that comes up a lot in the coach. So there will be more about this topic soon, but take that as the initial thinking. How can you measure the work that you've done over the course of the year?
The second questions that you can ask yourself, how are you going to use the data to inform your next steps? What are those next steps? How can you use the data to understand what else you need to collect? When we collect data, sometimes we realize we need to collect other data, or there's some data that maybe just isn't really reflective of what we're doing. So making those decisions on what to collect, how to collect it, how to adjust it, how you're collecting it. So you have some information, some evidence, ideas for moving forward.
Awesome. The third question we are inviting you to ask yourself is, who do you need to involve in making these plans? Who do you need to share it with? Who do you need to get feedback about your plans? And who do you need to inform about what you plan to do next year? Just so this isn't something you're doing entirely in isolation. You're getting that feedback, you're getting that input, you're helping others be prepared for the work that you plan to do in the next academic year.
A fourth question to think about is, once you make a plan, what are your checkpoints to reflect and adjust as you move along? Those checkpoints are going to help you refine your work, readjust your course over time. Checkpoints also offer opportunities to collect data and measure impact. It's one thing we talk about, we make these big plans, but then where are we going to stop and take a breath and see what we've been doing? And are we going to continue on this course, or are we going to make some changes to move forward?
And the fifth question you can ask yourself is, within the plans that you are creating, where is there opportunity to build in time and space to ensure that you are not overextending yourself, to make sure that you've set yourself up for success? I know that in the conversations that I've been having, there's been a lot of talk about, gosh, I wish I had scheduled that out better, or I wish this wasn't so overwhelming, or I wish this was organized a little bit more tightly. And now you have that fresh feeling of remembering what that was like, so you can be really intentional in planning when you make space for those things in your next year's plan.
Hopefully these 5 prompts can help you think about how you might want to wrap up the academic year and then setting yourself up for success for the next school year. And again, kind of moving from how are you going to set yourself up for success, and how are ways that you might be able to help others plan or give input on those plans to have a successful year.
To give you an idea of the kinds of plans that we're talking about in this episode, we are sharing 2 examples from the coach participants that inspired our conversation here today. And these are shared with permission, and just to give you an idea of what you might create at the end of one academic year to prepare you for the next.
So I'm going to share about one of our participants, Jessica, and she actually created a 5-year strategic map, which is a really great example. You could scale it down to a year. I think even just having a year plan is a great idea. She really thought through where they are as a school regarding professional development, and then where she saw them and the vision of the school going forward. And then she really pieced it out into like just the goals for each year, and then how the action steps for different areas of the school, from individuals to committees, also incorporating different aspects of the school, including diversity, their diversity initiatives. And so, yeah, it's really nice to look at, but also when you just start digging into it, it's a really great plan to start with. And she's also very aware that this is her, she's got this idea. She's planning to share it with administrators and other teachers to get their input. So it's a really great place for them all to start. And particularly her experience with having a view of the whole school and the different roles that she has, she's able to bring that aspect to her colleagues.
Yes. And that idea of providing a starting point is what we're talking about when we're talking about taking an informal leadership roles. You have this unique viewpoint. You can see things that maybe others are not seeing. So creating that strategic map is that starting point for a conversation that you can have with school leaders and other stakeholders in the school community. Similarly, the example that I'm sharing is from Tracy, and it's a similar kind of concept, but it's really focused on teacher professional learning for the year. And when she was looking back over this year, she felt like there were so many different initiatives, and it might have been hard for teachers to really recognize how all these pieces fit together and understand the progression of the professional growth over the course of the year. So she mapped out the whole year for her whole coaching team that she's sharing to the coaching team to get their feedback and their insight and see how they can work really cohesively as a team to make the professional learning and the focus for all the resources they share every month really cohesive over the course of the year and leading to an ultimate goal of student-led learning for the entire school that has been their focus. And so seeing that mapped out really clearly in a visual that is appealing to look at makes it really easy to start that conversation, just like you were saying, Diana. I think it's so exciting that coaches have the potential to make such an impact in their school environment. So thinking about taking this time now at the end of the year to reflect on the data you've collected, to create intentional plans moving forward, to think about the work that you've done this year and how you can potentially scale up and leverage your work as a coach is really exciting. If you are curious about the ways that you can be more intentional in your coaching practice, or you're ready to be more proactive in advocating for your role as a coach, this is exactly what we talk about in all of our programs for coaches, and in particular in the Coach Certificate and Mentorship Program. So if you're curious or you want to share the ways that you do this, we would love to hear about that in the comments. So please drop a comment below and tell us a little bit about how you're intentionally planning for your next academic year as a coach. I hope you enjoyed this collab with Diana for today's Coach Better Quick Tips. And if you're ready to dig deeper into being more intentional in your coaching practice, or you're new to instructional coaching and you're curious about getting started, join us in one of our courses for coaches. One of the things we're most proud of here at Eduro is that there's no one-size-fits-all learning. You always have choice and voice in how you learn with us. Today's video highlights one of the key themes that you'll find in all of our courses for coaches. And if you're curious and you want to take your learning deeper, I have 2 great free options for you today. If you are just getting started as a coach and you want to learn how to make the mindset and skill set shifts needed to be successful in the role, watch our New to Coaching workshop, which will also tell you about our brand new course, Getting Started as a Coach. This short course is specifically designed for classroom teachers that are moving into a coaching role. It's focused on exactly the skill set and mindset shifts you need so that you can be successful in your first years as an instructional coach. If you're already a coach and you want to think about being more intentional and strategic in your practice, watch our workshop on the Thrive model for coaching success, which will help you evaluate your program and your practice to see where you have room to grow. And it'll help you decide if our year-long mentorship and certificate program, The Coach, is right for you right now. This program is designed for current coaches who are focused on building a coaching culture through intentional and strategic coaching work at all levels with teachers and school leaders. Wherever you are in your coaching journey, we can support you. If you're curious right now and you have questions, please reach out. You can leave a comment below, you can join our Coach Better Facebook group, or you can find us on social media at Eduro Learning and send me a DM. I would love to support you on your coaching journey. See you next time.